And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our wonderful, talented Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. If you're watching us online, either at Acres TV or streaming us, we're going to be giving away a rain gauge a little bit later, but you have to be watching. So if you're listening, thank you. But if you want to win a free rain gauge, you have to be watching.
And who doesn't want a free rain gauge? Because, Dean, it might rain later this weekend and into next week.
Yes.
I'm so excited for that.
I know.
Good.
Here's the bad news now.
Whoa, hang on. You didn't tell me yesterday there was bad news.
Didn't find out till this morning.
Should I stay for this?
No.
Oh, what do you got?
Yeah, it looks like most of the rain is going to fall out to our west. That's bad news for us, but that's great news for them.
Okay, I got to take that with a grain of salt. You're exactly right. That is bad news for us right here. But those folks need it as bad or worse.
They need it worse, yeah.
So I'm going to give that one.
There's areas out in the western part of the state that are going to pick up anywhere between a half inch and maybe an inch and a quarter of liquid precip. Now, some of that's going to follow snow. So if you have any travel plans going out into the western Dakotas, just keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Ground temperatures are still pretty warm. But for us, the storm is going to, and again, it's just coming on shore right now. So the track of the storm could change. We might end up with a little more than expected. But the storm is going almost directly overhead. And usually when that happens is you get that dry punch of air coming into the storm, and it cuts off most of the precip along the track.
Okay, wait. Was this the same term you used the last couple of days, calling it a dry slot?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it looks like we're going to get dry slotted. We'll get some precip, but it looks like, boy, if we get 1/10 of an inch. Now, again, if we see, and we could see a few scattered thunderstorms on Sunday evening. If we do, then those localized areas will get some heavier amounts. But in general, we're not 1/10 of an inch.
Okay.
Is the most I see. Again, unless the track of the storm, if it goes a little further south or east of us, then we'll be in on a little more precip.
Okay.
But
we'll watch what that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But other than that, it looks like a pretty nice forecast from now through Sunday.
It does.
We're looking at temperatures in the already pushing 60. Some areas are in the low 60s or across the valley, and we're going to make it up into the mid 60s today, mid to upper 60s tomorrow, and upper 60s on Sunday.
I'm going to enjoy all of it. I've got maybe the last little bit of yard work to do, but I'm firing up the canner one more time. So thanks for giving me the reason to not stand outside by my canner where I'm wearing a heavy coat. Right.
And so we've got that, and then it does turn cooler next week, but not terribly cold. We're looking at 40s and 50s, so that's pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year.
Seasonal, really.
It is. It's
okay,
seasonal.
So our bet could still stand when it comes to Halloween. Remember, we wrote this down, and Justin will be back in time.
I said 30s. Who said 70s? Justin?
No, me. I said it was going to be warm enough to be like maybe long sleeves.
So 60s.
Trick-or-treating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did Justin say?
He was somewhere in the
It is
middle.
written down in the weather.
We've got it written down. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Lord only knows what prize we will have, not only for our listeners, but maybe for us, for our guesses.
Right. Exactly.
We'll be excited to share those.
Yeah. So we have to pay our bills, and we have to go to ABC News. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the LRC, because now we're starting to get into a slightly stormier part of the LRC. What does that mean for us? I'll kind of dive into that a little bit. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. There have been a couple of rulings on legal challenges to the Biden administration's student debt relief plan.
A federal judge in St. Louis dismissed an effort by 6 Republican-led states to block the Biden administration's student loan debt relief. The judge says Nebraska, Missouri, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, and South Carolina failed to establish they had standing. An appeal is expected. In a separate case, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, without comment, rejected a request by a group of Wisconsin taxpayers seeking to halt the Biden program. Their argument was the cost. Other court challenges remain. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Ukraine and Russia girding for a major battle over Kherson. A mass exodus now underway.
15,000 people so far, according to Kremlin-appointed local authorities. Moscow trying to force tens of thousands more to leave the city, the only regional capital Russia controls, making baseless claims it's to protect them from Ukrainian attacks. President Zelensky also urging people to leave, warning the occupiers will try to recruit men into their army.
ABC's Ian Panel. Tropical storm Rosalind formed off Mexico's southern Pacific coast. Forecasters say it'll strengthen into a hurricane and hit land somewhere between Puerto Vallarta and Mazatlan over the weekend. Federal planetary scientists say that for the third straight year, winter weather will be impacted by La Nina.
A La Nina means cooler than normal ocean temperatures in the eastern Pacific. The cooler water impacts a jet stream, and the southern U.S. is usually warmer and drier than normal. The north, cooler and wetter. Warmer and drier than normal from Southern California to the Carolinas. Colder than normal from Seattle to Minneapolis.
ABC's Alex Stone. The U.S. Mint announced it's putting Anna May Wong, first Chinese-American Hollywood movie star, on quarters that ship Monday. It'll bear her face and manicured hand. Wong, one of 5 women being so honored this year. You're listening to ABC News.
Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right, start saving money every month on renting space from others. Just call 888-74-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs and save you a ton of money. Call 888-74-STEEL.
Take it from a successful entrepreneur. If you need to expand or start a new business, you need General Steel.
Great team and the competitive pricing is the reason I went with General Steel.
Call 888-74-STEEL now, and you can get any of our popular quick construction structures, including a 40 by 60 foot building or a 50 by 100 clear span building, fast and easy. Call 888-74-STEEL. That's 888-747-8335. 888-74-STEEL.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
I'm David Chapman. I'm a candidate for judge. For 25 years, I've enjoyed tremendous success in our community. But it is time to give back. I love freedom, our country, and our Constitution. If elected, I will enforce the law as it is written, not as I wish it were written. I invite you to visit Chapman for Judge on Facebook, and I would be honored to serve.
Paid for by David Chapman.
There are a million reasons to love a pet, and a million more to love a shelter pet. During the month of October, Muscatel Subaru has teamed up with Homeward Animal Shelter of Fargo to find forever homes for shelter pets by donating $100 each day of the month for pet adoption fees. Having Muscatel Subaru help with adoption fees makes this a great time to consider adopting a 4-legged companion. Go to homewardonline.org to see available pets and to make an appointment today.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. We want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. What a great afternoon out there. And, it's been a very dry last 2 months. Good news for harvest, but, boy, it's gone beyond helpful for harvest. Now it's just gone beyond. Now, I was reading an article.
Yes.
It was a Facebook post. One of our farming friends, and it wasn't Parker. I can't remember. It might have been Parker. Sure. I don't know. He said that when it's this dry, like they can't get some of the crops out.
Oh, sure. If it's this dry, and if you wanted to dig potatoes or lift sugar beets,
I think it was sugar beets, yeah.
Yeah, there are times, especially because of the Fargo clays, the way they will suck together without that moisture, it's like concrete to try to bust that open. So, for example, if you have to do any fencing these days, I've had several ranchers tell me that trying to pull posts out, they literally have to pour water down the post in order to loosen it. Or if you're trying to push posts in, if you're using like the bucket on a bobcat or a payloader, you're bending posts because they can only go so far. The ground is that hard. Tillage equipment, we do a lot of tillage this time of the year. It's working up okay, but they're breaking a lot of equipment because the ground is so hard. You know, just running through those pieces of iron because we just can't get it done very easily.
Yeah. And now we're going into a different pattern in this LRC cycle. So we're going into a stormier pattern. The ridge out to the west is breaking down. That's allowing these storm systems to come in off the Pacific. Now, this first storm will be interested. It's not what the models forecast. It's what actually happens. Sure. So let's see where this storm tracks. And so let's say we have a 40-day cycle. We'll just throw that out. We don't know yet. This same storm system that's coming through Sunday and Monday will cycle back around 40 days later, if that's the cycle length. Does it always take the exact same track? No.
Okay.
It doesn't. No. So if we get missed this time by it, we might get hit by it next time, but because it will be in the same general area. But it could take a slightly different track. So at least if we're getting the storms in our area, when they cycle back, then at least we have a chance for getting that much needed moisture. We want it now. We don't want to wait until winter time to get it because, you get it to soak in now while the ground is still thawed. And
yes, so we want that instead of just the rain on freezing ground that's going to run off. And we're not the only part of the country. Every Friday at 11:30, I do a space on Twitter, and my conversation today was with a guy in Southwest Kansas, and he said, we are so dry. We haven't had really any good rainfall in 18 months. And we're in a situation right now where we can't get things to germinate, even weeds. They're having trouble getting to germinate because it's that dry out there, and they are truly in the southern plains.
Right. And hopefully, like I said, when we get into this stormy and this should last about 3 weeks, it looks like, that we get some much-needed moisture. I'm just not seeing a whole lot up in our area right now. But again, let's see how this weather pattern kind of shakes itself out. So any of our listeners, or if you're listening and you want to win a rain gauge, you have to stream us online because we're going to give a rain gauge away today. Today is our Wear Your Favorite Team Colors to Work Day.
Right.
So I'm a huge hockey fan. So, Michael, if you can put that up. So if you're watching us either on Acres TV or streamlining it, how do you pronounce this Chicago Blackhawks player's last name? It's a tricky one. You didn't know it?
I did not know for sure, but my heritage doesn't allow me to speak well.
Jace, who does sports here, he knew it right away.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but if you want to win a rain gauge, how do you correctly pronounce this player's last name on the Chicago Blackhawks?
And as a reminder, you can be streaming us through our Facebook page. You can also be watching our live stream on our website for WDAY, and Acres TV is another option for you to be watching us. Right. So we want folks to pay attention. And you know what? Let's say we don't have a winner this hour. That doesn't mean you can't still message us later and say, I saw it, and which platform did you see it?
Right.
We might be able to find that winner.
Then we can still take care of you. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll call you to make sure you can say it, though.
So I believe we're coming up on break. Is that correct, Jacob? Yep. So when we come back, we have a special guest today, Bridgette.
We do. We're going to visit with Claudia Botzet, and I want to make sure I'm saying Claudia's last name right. She is with South Dakota State University Extension. She is a field nutrition specialist. This is a new position for them. And we like to talk about food because it's one of our better skills, Dean. So she's going to be great to visit with us, especially when we are focusing so much on what our farmers and ranchers can do out there for themselves and for others. So we'll be back after this.
Think pink and help make a difference, because during Pucklich and Valley City's Why Pink event, we're donating $100 for every vehicle sold and $10 for every service repair order. Help us reach our goal of $10,000 donated to the JRMC Cancer Center and Sanford Roger Maris Cancer Center. So think pink and help make a difference as we raise $10,000 during our Why Pink event at Pucklich Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City.
Hi, Lacey here with Precision Concrete Cutters. You've heard our ads about egress windows. They add sunlight, they provide an escape and add value to your home. All true, but I'd like to let you in on a little secret. You can add an egress window anywhere, even if there's no existing window. I know this because at Precision Concrete Cutters, we specialize in egress window installation and replacement. Precision Concrete Cutters, 701-280-7038. That's 280-7038.
Hi, I'm Josh Christie, father, husband, local business owner, and candidate for District 27 in South Fargo. I'm running for a seat in the North Dakota legislature because District 27 needs proven leaders who will represent their district and its ever-changing needs. As a third-generation North Dakotan, I want to help ensure that our schools are fully staffed, daycare centers are affordable and available, and that we do everything we can to combat rising costs and tax hikes and their effects on everyday families. On November 8th, I'd be honored to have your vote to represent District 27 in Bismarck.
Paid for by Josh Farrell, Brian Shaw, Treasurer.
There are a million reasons to love a pet, and a million more to love a shelter pet. During the month of October, Muscatel Subaru has teamed up with Homeward Animal Shelter of Fargo to find forever homes for shelter pets by donating $100 each day of the month for pet adoption fees. Having Muscatel Subaru help with adoption fees makes this a great time to consider adopting a four-legged companion. Go to homewardonline.org to see available pets and to make an appointment today.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you're a candidate for our unique approach, we'll do a trial treatment, and day one, you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-353-2230. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. But due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-353-2230. Hurry, call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now at 701-353-2230. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
This is former State Senator Curtis Olofsson. I'm running to return to the Senate in the new District 10 in South Fargo. My number one priority is to get back on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where I previously served for 6 years as Vice Chair, so that I can take action to address the ever-increasing rate of crime in our city and state. I'm also committed to helping working families access quality childcare and supporting our state economy. Vote for experience on November 8th. Vote Olofsson for District 10 State Senate.
Paid for by District 10 Republicans, Curtis Olofsson, Chair.
Welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, who's a little worn out, and we can't wait until Justin Storm, our meteorologist extraordinaire, joins us.
I'm not as worn out as he is.
That's true.
He
That's
texted
true.
me. He goes, 2 hours of sleep each night isn't cutting it. I'm like, man, dude, you're going to get worn down.
Welcome to fatherhood and a new baby in your house.
Yes.
It's a way to celebrate, and it's a way to realize that sleep is precious.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Justin will be back very soon, but today we have a guest joining us, and she is on the line. Her name is Claudia Botzet. And Claudia, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Whew. Claudia is a South Dakota State University Extension Field Nutrition Specialist. As we have our conversation today, I just want to remind folks, please give us a call with your questions at 701-293-9000, or you can be emailing Dean or myself, weather or ag @flagfamily.com. So, Claudia, tell us all about your position, because this is a new position in South Dakota, correct?
Kind of. It hasn't been filled in a while, so I think that's why it's a little newer. But kind of what I do is, one of the biggest things is I work with food preservation. So all the canning and freezing and drying of foods people do at home.
Okay.
I'm kind of South Dakota's go-to for that if they have any questions. And then I kind of just work with projects and programming that kind of has any relation towards nutrition.
Well, and I think there's a lot. I reached out to you because I saw the press release regarding your new position. And when I think about farming, I don't just think about our large commercial farming. Agriculture also comes right on down to our small family gardens and the things that we can do, like if you're a CSA, et cetera. And so that was part of the reason for wanting to visit with you and about your position. And Claudia, you're a farm kid too, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Give us your background.
Well, I grew up in Buffalo, Minnesota. It used to be a dairy farm, but by the time we moved out there, they just had cattle. And then I grew up with two sisters, and we were very active in 4-H. So we had chickens and rabbits and all those good hobby farm animals. And eventually we grew up and we got goats. So we had lots of dairy goats too. So we showed all those at the fairs and stuff. So when I was a senior in high school, I was waking up at 5 every morning, which no high school kid wants to do, to go milk 12 goats by hand. So it was pretty, I mean, I'm glad I had that growing up because I think it shaped me into be like a decent human being. But looking back now, like, no way would I ever want to start doing that again. But
I can't hardly wait until we dive into a conversation about milking goats, but we'll get there, I'm sure. Okay, so let's talk about some other things. Now, your position with South Dakota State University, you said this is for in the field. What are some of the things that you are doing as far as contact with your customer, if you will, with your audience? What are some of the things that you're doing to make sure you share your knowledge and information?
Well, I guess I'm not totally sure what this question is asking, but I guess for food preservation, a lot of people, they have my number and stuff, or if they call SDSU Extension in general, they'll just guide them to my direction.
Okay.
So then I'm able to answer questions and stuff.
That's pretty fair. Are you presenting seminars or doing any online courses for folks as well?
I'm still fairly new, so I'm working on that. I'm working on doing more nutrition modules. Like one I'm working on is a chronic disease one. So how like nutrition and physical activity relate to chronic disease. So that's in the making. So eventually I might be able to promote that more and stuff. But otherwise, the most webinars and stuff I've done, I haven't really done any webinars, but I've just attended classes and have done presentations on food preservation and kind of just the basics within that.
Go ahead, Dean.
And Claudia, I'm reading an article here saying South Dakota has one of the lower rankings compared to other states when it comes to daily fruit and vegetable intake. Where do they rank, and where do you want to get them to?
I can't totally say where they rank, but I do know that we are very, very low.
Okay. What's the reason? What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
A lot of it is just because of where we live. Like, we are in the Midwest, so we get all environments, and a lot of fruits and vegetables cannot survive all the elements we have. So unless we have like large commercial producers who have huge greenhouses and have like the money to maintain those warehouses, a lot of times we have to have all our produce imported and stuff, which isn't a bad thing, but you know, sometimes, I don't know, just the access to it. If you do, because I live in Kimball right now, and like just sometimes when you go to small little markets, they have to charge a certain amount of money just from how much it costs them to get the produce. So sometimes you go to some small little towns and they have to charge like $6 for a head of cabbage, and a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, like I just then it just throws them off. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to grab my $4 bag of potato chips and eat my potatoes.
So that's a great point. And when you talk about access, and I have a little bit of a story, and I used to travel the state of Montana quite a bit in my previous job. One of the things that happened is there was a massive snowstorm in eastern Montana. Well, this is probably about 8 years ago, and it was right before Thanksgiving. What happened was a lot of the grocery trucks trying to get to the far northeast corner of Montana, which is not all that accessible sometimes, the grocery trucks couldn't get there to refill. And the thing that people were most upset about was they couldn't get celery to make their favorite Thanksgiving stuffing for the turkey or for the relish trays. And I'll never forget that, because it's not exactly locally grown. And I can see where Claudia is going is these are things that we have to rely on somebody else bringing in. There are transportation costs, there are trucking shortages right now. And for us to make good, healthy decisions isn't always so easy and really plays into our economics.
Well, and a lot of people do work, like farmers work from sun up to sundown, and during the summer, like those hours get incredibly long. So usually, I don't know how, like just from experience, they don't do like much of the cooking at all unless it comes to like grilling or anything. So you kind of have to rely on if they have a partner or anyone they live with, if they're going to do the cooking. And sometimes people just, it can take time to prepare vegetables, and sometimes people just also don't have the time to prepare them. So
hence the craze of the Instapot.
Yep.
And Claudia, I know you haven't been at the position very long, but have you noticed any changes? Have you made any changes that you can see?
I mean, I think I put a positive outlook on food preservation because that's kind of just has been my main focus moving in, just because when I did start, it was like the beginning of food preservation season, and now it's finally ending. So it's kind of my main focus is just food preservation, which it has nutrition correlated into it because obviously you're preparing your fruits and vegetables so you can eat them during the winter months. So when you want homemade chili, you can use your homegrown tomato still and not buy the store canned ones. But I cannot say.
Well, okay.
Totally, but
so
I think I am.
That's going to be a great point, Claudia. We're going to be back here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a few minutes, and when we come back, I want to ask you about some of that food preservation and what could be the difference in the nutritional value of what we preserve on our own. And this is coming from someone who does a lot of our own home canning. What we do on our own versus what we buy in the store. And can we tell the difference and what kind of tips and tricks you might have for us? So we'll do that after we come back, right after this.
Are you, a family member, your neighbor, or friend saving for something special or have unexpected expenses? Labor Masters is here to help. Hi, Nancy Kelly here. The process is simple. Bring your picture ID, a social security card, or birth certificate. It takes 10 minutes to fill out the application, and we'll put you to work. So come in, go to work, and get paid the same day. To learn more, go to labormasters.net. The best companies, great jobs, and daily pay.
Brr, sounds like winter out there.
Did you just say?
Yep, they sure did, and it's coming. Hi, I'm Matthew, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. Winter's on the way, and it's time to get ready, including getting new all-weather tires designed specifically for our icy winter weather. Take advantage of our current rebates and availability, and our team can have you ready for winter today. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
You can always count on Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Always crisp, always easy drinking, always just right. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment since 1903. Welcome to the High Life. (2019) Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Celebrate responsibly.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign. And we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Think pink and help make a difference because during Puckledge and Valley City's Why Pink event, we're donating $100 for every vehicle sold and $10 for every service repair order. Help us reach our goal of $10,000 donated to the JRMC Cancer Center and Sanford Roger Maris Cancer Center. So think pink and help make a difference as we raise $10,000 during our Why Pink event at Puckledge Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City.
Attention North Dakota farmers. When asked if he supported federal crop insurance, Rick Becker, candidate for the U.S. Senate, said,
"No, I don't support any federal insurance."
It's clear that Rick Becker doesn't understand the importance of federal crop insurance to farmers and ranchers. Without federal crop insurance, North Dakota would be just one natural disaster away from wiping out our ag economy. It is also clear that Rick Becker has little respect for our farmers and ranchers.
The American farmer was the epitome of a rugged individual that was on their own, that made their way, and they've become barely anything more than a tool of the federal government.
Rick Becker will end federal crop insurance, and North Dakota farm families will pay the price.
North Dakota Strong, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Learn more at northdakotastrong.org.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, sporting his very finest Chicago Blackhawks gear today. So for those of you who are watching online, it's kind of sports day for us. I'm wearing my best NDSU, and I hope our guest is wearing her best SDSU. Claudia Botzet with South Dakota Extension. She is a field nutrition specialist. And speaking of those of you watching online, make sure that you go check out our videos, whether it's through our website, through Acres TV, or our Facebook live stream, because Dean's wearing his Chicago Blackhawks jersey. And those who may contact us, you got to call in, 701-293-9000, explain how to pronounce the name of the player on the back of Dean's jersey.
Nobody's gotten it yet.
No, not yet.
But you can win a free rain gauge.
Yeah, that's right. Which that rain gauge is made by...
Productive Alternative down in Fergus Falls. Great company. This is a heavy-duty rain gauge.
Yeah.
It's all season, so you don't have to bring it in, because those glass ones you have to bring in the winter. So yeah, it's a nice rain gauge. And again, 701-293-9000. If you're watching, you can't be. If you're listening, you want to switch over and
take a look.
Live stream, take a look, then that's fine. 701-293-9000, and you'll get a free rain gauge if you know how to correctly pronounce that last name. Also, if you have any questions for Claudia as well, you can give us a call as well, or email us, weather@flagfamily.com or ag@flagfamily.com. Claudia, I've got a question for you. So a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if you're familiar with this name, but we had on a guest. It's her name. It's Farm Fit Mama. That's what she goes by, and she goes around into the agriculture community and teaches them basically how to keep fit. Right, Bridgette?
Yeah. Her real name is Amanda Nigg. She's from Sisseton, and she talks about fitness and also, making good food choices.
Right. And so, Claudia, have you ever thought of maybe teaming up with somebody like that to really accelerate nutrition in the ag community?
Yes, I think doing something like that would be very fun and enjoyable. I am I haven't yet, but soon I'll be working with the Annie's Project, so that's more of like financing stuff in the agriculture world, but I would like to see where I could bring in more like nutrition and physical activity, because I date a farmer and I know his physical activity. I mean, the extent of it is probably crawling in and out of the tractor.
So, okay, we have
some.
Go ahead, Claudia.
Oh, I was going to say, and then, I don't know, a lot of younger farm kids, I know they love their gas station pizzas and chicken nuggets, if that's what they get to. But, so yeah, I definitely think that would be something I would love to do in my future.
I think that That'd be fabulous. And we hit on so many different things there. You mentioned Annie's project, which again is targeting rural women, talking about finance and learning more about the finances on their farm and in their community. So I think that's a very admirable project for folks to want to look into and be a part of. But then with the nutrition the information that you share, Claudia, I posed a question to you prior to us going to break. And as an avid gardener and someone who cans quite a bit myself, would you say that there's a difference in what we do at our home food preservation as far as versus what we buy in the store? Is there a nutritional difference in those values?
Yes, there can be. It kind of depends, because when you are preserving foods at home, like one of the biggest things is sodium. Some recipes, the sodium is usually optional. So like in just like canned corn, like if you buy it in the store, most of it you can buy no sodium, but most of them do have sodium in them.
Okay.
So that's another option. A lot of it is that sometimes, it depends on the product you're getting to in the stores, but a lot of foods use more preservatives, which we use the preservatives you would use at home would be like Fruit Fresh or something that would help your fruit.
Right.
Or like your apple being too brown or something like that. So we kind of can control a lot of the sodium and the amount of preservatives we put in our at-home food, preserved, whatever foods. But in the store, you kind of just have to buy what you can find, and a lot of them do. Or have some preservatives, you'd be like, what the heck is that? But
in the conversations that you have with folks, do you get regular phone calls about, okay, what should I be doing and what are my best methods for preservation, whether it's canning or dehydrating? Does that kind of fall into your wheelhouse?
Yep. And some of the most common questions is kind of like, so I finished canning them this, but it looks like this. Like the other day, an example of a question would be like, some guy was making applesauce and it separated. So kind of people who are like double checking, which if that ever does happen, it's normal. Just depends on the season of apples and how early you pick them and preserve them. But so kind of just questions like that, or how long they should process something if they're at a certain altitude, and kind of stuff like that.
So something else that I have learned that's very different, I grew up basically doing hot water bath canning, which was pretty easy to do, right? You put it in a large pot of water, you're going to boil that jar for a certain amount of time, and it takes the air out and seals the lid. But you can't do that with meats, right?
Correct. And a lot of that is just because with today's science, they can discover so much more, and they're learning about Clostridium botulinum, which is a bacteria that is kind of why you have to follow so many methods when you preserve foods at home. And it's because they like a higher pH, which would be a lower acid food, where when we can water bath can, those foods can have a higher acidity because that's going to help kill the bacteria, and it doesn't have to be heated to such a high amount. But the pressure can, so meat, they have a low acidity level, so they need to be heated to a higher temperature, which the pressure canners, they can heat the foods up to 240 degrees, which is not the food itself, but just kind of like the area around it, which is going to help seal the can and make sure that bacteria can't grow in it.
Absolutely. And so as someone, again, I didn't pressure can growing up because my grandma was pretty sure it was going to explode in her kitchen and like embed the lid of the canner in her ceiling. So I watch that thing like a ticking time bomb now when I do it. And I know that the safety valves and release valves on pressure canners today are way better than they used to be. But also as a reminder to folks, don't use your pressure cookers that you're making your pot roast in to can, right?
Yes, that has been a huge thing where we get questions about that. And some people will be like, oh, I did it and it worked. Okay, it might work, but there's no way in saying how if your product was heated to the correct temperature, it needs to kill all those pathogens. And if it did, like, pull enough air out of it or all that jazz. So there's no science behind it, so it's definitely we should not be using our pressure cookers to can. It's risky. You don't know if it's going to start pulling the food out of the jar either, just based on the pressure that's in them. So,
And Claudia, we have a caller for you. Mike on line 1 has a baking question for you. Claudia, go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Claudia. I've been trying to make some apple pies and some peach pies, and the upper crust always looks good, but when you cut them open, the bottom crust is like doughy, and it's like it's never baked. How do I alleviate that problem?
Good question. I don't do much with baking. I would say either bake the pie at a lower temperature possibly so that it all can cook and just not the top, or if you pre-bake the bottom so then it is baked and then it will bake a little bit more once you add the filling and the top crust.
Mike, I'm with Claudia.
Okay.
I'm as a longtime baker, first-time caller myself. I would tell you that I would do the same, especially with apple and peach pies with a lot of that juice. I'd pre-bake that crust if I were you, just as a heads up.
Pre-bake it?
Yep.
But how long?
You don't have to do it much, right, Claudia? Just a partial bake, and then so that you don't get it dried out, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, just so you
I know.
can tell that. Sorry, I was going to say just so you can probably tell that doughy texture, it isn't as doughy as when you put it in, so it has gotten a little more solid. But
Okay. Yeah, because it frustrates me that my mom passed away, and I never did get. She used to be such an unbelievable baker, and her pie crusts were always like candy almost. They were so good, and I don't know how to do it now. And it every time I try one, and I know she used to always make her own crusts out of real lard, and now I'm just buying the Pillsbury already made ones, and it just doesn't seem to work out. But I'm hoping that with all the apples now, and we've got some peaches left, that I want to try to at least get a pie or two made.
Well, I would agree with you there, Mike, and I'm going to wish you the best of luck on your baking. I'm like you, I might cheat a little bit and use a Pillsbury pie crust. So thanks for giving a call, Mike. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
You bet.
Claudia, so that brings up a really good question when it comes to canning some of those items like the apples and the peaches and so forth that Mike was talking about. Again, hot water bath or pressure canner, which is your preference for those who might be doing some of that late season harvest right now?
so when it comes to fruit, all fruit, they're all acidic foods. So with all fruit, you're going to be able to just use a hot water bath canner.
That's my favorite method too. So last shout out as far as some of the canning methods. I have been warned by many home economists that I'm going to kill somebody because I make my microwave pickles. I don't can them in a hot water bath. I put everything in the jar and I microwave them, and then I put a hot lid and ring on the top and seal them. So
really,
Claudia, are you going to tell me that I'm doing it wrong? What's your professional opinion on my pickles?
Yes, the professional opinion would be that that is not safe because you don't know if you are fully getting the food to the temperature it needs to reach to kill those pathogens, and if you are truly getting a proper seal. But I mean,
we'll talk off air. We'll compare notes. I'll let you know what I'm doing. Claudia, it's been fun to visit with someone who's very new in her role and enthusiastic about it as you reach out to folks across the state of South Dakota with their food nutrition questions. So if folks who are listening would like to reach out to you with more of their questions or any publications you may have, how could they do that? Tell us how to reach Claudia when we need to.
So you can always email me, which is always probably the best bet because sometimes I'm in and out of the office. And my email is just claudia.botzet@sdstate.edu. Sorry. Or you guys can always call my office in Winter, South Dakota, and that number is 605-842-1267, and just ask for Claudia.
Excellent. Well, you can't see it unless you're watching on the live stream, and I hope you are, but horns up from this fan up here because it's sports day here at the office, and I came fully decorated as a bison.
Yeah, but you know she's going to rub it in what happened last weekend, right?
She can rub it in because I got to be honest, the Jacks played better, and I know I said that out loud, but they deserved to win that game. I was there for it. So
it was very good game, though, and it was very close. So I think both teams deserve to win, but obviously I'm going to be biased towards the Jacks.
That's okay. This Saturday is an NDSU bye, and the Jacks are playing UND. So this weekend, I'm a Jacks fan. So, all right. Thank you very kindly, Claudia. Folks, we are going to come back after this. We're going to get an update from the American Ag Network, and we'll wrap up the rest of our show after that.
In the field, it's good to have a friend you can count on. One that's hardworking, trustworthy, and always shows up. Just like LG Seeds. Our corn hybrids and soybean varieties deliver consistent performance across all your acres, giving you reliable yield you can expect. Start this season right with LG Seeds. Talk to your local dealer or visit lgseeds.com for more information.
You know how they say the most important thing in real estate is location, location, location? Well, location is critical to seed innovation as well. That's why Pioneer invests millions every year in local testing, more than 17,000 on-farm trials. It's all to ensure that you can plant seed proven to perform in fields just like yours. Because at Pioneer, our name is our mission. What's next happens here. Learn more at pioneer.com.
This looks like a job for Closeout Man. No good, huh? What about this?
Hey, this is Johnny Golf Cart here, and if you don't get your golf cart, me and the boys will come find you.
No good? Okay, well, how about this? The largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts is at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing for up to 36 months on 22 and 23 Club Car Onward golf carts. All Season Motorsports. Better get yours. I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. All season long, we've got the coaches, players, and information you want, and everything you need to know about the games we're covering, and especially those we aren't. The region's only radio high school preview show. Welcome to the Blitz. Brought to you every week on these stations by Dakota Underground Company of Fargo, Gateway Chevrolet, Dakota Refrigeration, Weldon's Tire Service, and Prairie Supply. Friday nights at 6. Tune in for the Blitz.
Grain markets finish firm after the U.S. dollar breaks lower on Friday. This is the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this closing market update. Well, lack of fresh news once again to trade off of on Friday, but the U.S. dollar breaking around mid-morning allowed grains to come off their lows and trade rather firm on the day, with beans ending up the upside leader, quarter wheat relatively mixed. While we saw livestock trade, cattle futures relatively mixed to higher as they squared positions. Traders did ahead of the cattle lot feed report out here this afternoon, and the lean hog contracts were up sharply in the front months, with that December contract closing the gap even more on the lean hog index. Stock market took advantage of the dollar breaking, good moves there into the afternoon, with crude oil just kind of trading either side of unchanged again in a day where we really just saw a lack of fresh news. There are a lot of news items impacting the trade, but nothing fresh of note to drive us on the day Friday. Final numbers on Friday: December corn up a quarter penny, 6.84 to quarter. Barch up a half penny, 6.90 and a half. Soybeans November 4 higher, 13.95 and a half. January up 4 and a half at 14.04 and a half. December bean meal up 4.60 a ton, 4.1790. December bean oil up 108 points, 71.50. Chicago wheat December 1.5 higher, 8.50 and 3/4. March up 1.5, 8.69 and a half. Kansas City wheat December down 1.5 at 9.48 and a quarter. Spring wheat for December down 1.5, 9.61. March down 1, 9.68 and a half. Lean hogs December 2.10 higher, 89.12. February up 1.42, 90.52. Feeder cattle October down 30, 175.27. November 80 higher, 178.35. Live cattle October up 70, 150.47. December up 75, 152.42. That's closing markets for Friday here on the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we had a winner of the rain gauge. Jim, he was out combining and
sure
watching us, and so he won. So congratulations, and thanks for watching. I guess we had a little Jacob. I know you're not going to like this, but we had a couple callers. There's technically two ways to pronounce his last name.
Okay.
So we had a couple of grumpy callers, or a couple of callers that were. No, that's right. That is right. So tell you what, call us back, and Jacob, you'll know who it is, I hope. And And we'll set you up with something else.
Sure.
Yeah, we can't give you the rain gauge. We only have so many to give out, but we'll definitely set you up with something else, and we'll try not to make it, because my name is pronounced two different ways.
Sure.
So there's technically two different ways to
Well,
pronounce it.
and here's the fun thing. We're going to do different things all the time because we're almost to November, and we'll probably run a slightly different contest in a different way. You just never know.
Right.
I'd really like it if we could use that rain gauge more, though, Dean. Thank you ever so much.
We need it, and unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot of rain in our forecast. But
what's the national picture?
Well, the national picture, we're looking at that storm system that's riding into the West Coast, and this is going to be good news for the Pacific Northwest, where it's been very dry into Idaho and parts of Montana, too. They're going to get some much-needed precip out of this, extending probably even down into areas of Nevada, Utah, where they have winter storm warnings hoisted. So great news for the higher country out there. They're going to get some much-needed precip. Other than that, nation's pretty quiet. So this storm system is going to be riding over the Rockies into the Central Plains. It's just starting to enter the West Coast right now. Now, areas to our south and east, let's say from Oklahoma up through southern Minnesota, could get an inch or more of rain. Fantastic. Those areas are in drought too. But I think for our general area, the northern plains, the best shot at any appreciable moisture is going to be with this storm out to our west, in the west of Bismarck, where they could pick up half inch to an inch of rain. So that's good news. But unfortunately, the track of this storm is coming right over us. Now, we were talking earlier about the LRC. So this is really storm number 2 of the LRC. The first one was that big upper low that was camped out over the Great Lakes, which brought us the extremely strong winds, and we had a little bit of precip with that. It wasn't much. So that's storm number 1. This will be storm system number 2. Now, when this cycles back, does it take the same path, or are we looking at a different track? And that is it usually does not take the exact same track. It's usually a little different. But we know that storm system will be in our area, whatever the cycle length is, and it'll be back around. Now, let's see how many more storms we have over the next 3 weeks. That's going to be crucial because we at least need something in our area to give us something.
Sure.
And when it cycles back around. So the next 3 weeks are going to be pretty crucial as that ridge finally broke down out west, and we'll start to see some of these storms come into the West Coast.
Well, we're going to watch. We're going to keep an eye on it because, and the question we're going to get a lot as we approach that December 7th date for the LRC. When we do that special talking about what could the winter weather look like, we're going to get a lot of questions about how much snowfall will we get. And if there's a way for you to help us decide what that might look like, that'll be important.
Good. Yeah. Absolutely.
Help.
And boy, we're talking about drought, and it was funny because I was just getting ready to email this article, and you emailed it to me. So the Mississippi River, obviously we've been talking about this. It is at record lows in some areas, especially the central southern part of the Mississippi. And 60% of our U.S. grain exports exit the country via the Gulf Coast. Well, from fertilizer, farm chemicals, everything. If they can't get to the Gulf, what are they going to do?
Well, that we're back to our situation with rail or trucking, and we're in a shortage for truck drivers. And as far as rail is concerned, we are currently operating, but remember, there's still negotiations going on between the labor unions and the railroads. And it's not just one labor union, it's several. If that doesn't come to an agreement, we could go into a cooling off period in November. And so we're not out of the woods yet on a potential labor strike for railroad. What we need right now for the fall, for the immediate future, is in place, especially in the mines of fertilizer. In grain, not so sure, because I've talked about this on Bonnie and Friends in the morning. If you run out of grain storage internally, and you're in some of those Midwestern states that historically have barge traffic, so trucks come in right off the river, they load directly onto the barge. Now, where are you going to put that? We're going to have to pile it somewhere. Here we do more of it. We have bunkers. We will put fans on it. We'll cover it with tarps. We have a lot of on-farm storage. But down there, they don't, and it can be exposed to the elements. So if we finally do get that moisture and rainfall that you're hoping we get, we can then degrade the crop. We lose quality really fast.
Right.
It gets messy. You get rotting piles. And by the way, our reason we tarp piles as much as possible, because of wildlife. Deer, raccoons, etc. They crawl right up the pile because they want to eat that. Yeah, well, they're not polite. So they're leaving droppings behind, which also then are into the grain. So we have to think about all of those things when we're piling grain.
And with the drought, just some more stats here. So Kansas, obviously under some kind of drought, which for much of the state's the worst they've seen in the last 8 years. And there's reports now that a lot of these farmers can't even get in to plant the winter wheat.
They cannot. They're
it's just too dry.
They're saying we're dusting it in, where they're literally laying it in dust, and it's been so windy.
Well, how is that going to catch
topsoil?
Yeah,
it's not. That's the problem. They don't have stubble because they haven't had crop in a long enough time. So they're really hoping that in some way, shape, or form, there's some rainfall so that seed will actually sprout and stay in place, because right now it's laying in dry dust, not even dirt.
That's
dust.
not good.
No. And, we know that the Kansas wheat crop, any part of that southern plains, it's still a majority player in the wheat that we need overall for this country, as well as what we do for export, because we got to make sure that we keep up on what's happening here locally, but also globally. And interesting enough, we'll probably talk about this on Monday. I saw a report today that the Ukraine exports are back up to pre-war levels, which is important to everybody. They're going to satisfy some of their customers that don't normally buy from the U.S. The downside for all of that is, though, those are shipping rates are probably all the grain from their 21 crop. So they still have their 22 crop that they're going to have to try to get out and somewhere. We'll see how that turns out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, well, we've got about a minute left. Hey, I'd like to ask whoever our callers were that guessed technically wrong, but you could say they were right. Shoot me an email, weather@flagfamily.com, weather@flagfamily.com. We're going to set you up with something else. And Jacob, did you end up getting their names? The callers?
Nope.
No, you didn't. Get their phone number?
Nope.
Okay.
Any calls that come in, he's sending to you.
Right? He probably will, I know. So, you can email me, weather@flagfamily.com, and we'll get you set up with something else. So we like to have contests that are fair, and, when there's possibly two answers. That's
right. Can be difficult.
Yeah. So that's going to about wrap it up for us. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next. We want to thank you once again for joining us. Urge you to get out and enjoy this weekend weather. These days are numbered.
They are.
In fact, record heat just to our south as close as Sioux Falls. So get out and enjoy this lovely weather we're going to have this weekend. Watch out for the possibility of severe storms Sunday in Lakes Country. Sunday evening, we'll be keeping a close eye on that for you. So have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you on Monday.
DAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo.